Alfred watched Lauren fall to the ground coldly, without any intention of reaching out to pull her up. "Only two of us are here. You don't have to make it so real. Even if you roll down the stairs, I won't touch you." Lauren only felt a little cramp in her lower abdomen. Her brow wrinkled. Alfred looked out at her with only disgust in his eyes. "Don't you think I don't know the affair between you and Noah? You are obviously a whore, but you keep pretending to be an innocent white rabbit in front of people. Every time I see you, I will be amazed by your disgusting actions." Lauren endured the pain and looked up at him. "I don't have anything to do with Noah. Put away your dirty thoughts." Alfred snorted contemptuously. "Of course you will argue. I don't know whose bastard it is in your body. I, Alfred, am not a coward who will raise children for others." Lauren's eyes were filled with tears. No matter how cruelly Alfred said to her, she could bear it. But she didn't expect that he would say that she was a dirty woman, and he insisted that the child in her body was not his. Lauren lowered her head. The tears of grievance could not be held back after all. Tears kept dripping on the carpet, immediately soaking a small piece of carpet. The longer Alfred looked at her, the angrier he became. He strode forward, grasped her wrists, and roughly threw her into the car. Lauren felt an unknown premonition. Her voice trembled. "You. Where are you taking me?" "Hey!" Alfred sneered. "You are pregnant with a child you shouldn't have. Of course, you need to have an abortion. I said that I would not raise other people's children. I don't want to be cuckolded." Lauren widened her eyes in horror, and covered her belly. "You can't do this to me. This is your child. You can't abort it." Alfred turned a deaf ear to what Lauren said, and merely drove the car. Lauren burst into tears. She had just experienced the wonderful feeling of having a life in her body, and she was just getting ready to be a good mother. Alfred was definitely a demon. How dare he treat her like this? As I said, it doesn't matter if you don't recognize the child. I can raise it by myself. You can't take him away. She was too scared. When Lauren spoke, she could not tremble her voice while protecting her belly. "I'm begging you. I beg you. Don't do this to me, please, Alfred." Alfred glanced at the woman in the back seat. From the rearview mirror, her face filled with tears. There was also a frightened expression on her face. Alfred didn't feel sorry for her. "You asked for it." Alfred dragged Lauren out of the car, took her to the obstetric and gynecology department of the hospital, threw her to the nurse. "Give her an abortion." Lauren was on the verge of collapse, shouting, "You have no right to do that. Alfred, you can't make me have an abortion. You devil." Alfred glared at the doctors and nurses beside him. "Hurry up, do you want me to fire all of you?" However, Alfred was so powerful in the city that no one dared to provoke him. How dare several doctors and nurses in the hospital go against his will? So they hurriedly gave Lauren anesthetic and brought her into the operating room. When Lauren woke up, her stepmother, Tina Mill, was standing in the ward. feeling her belly. Lauren closed her eyes in despair with tears coming out. There was a chuckle beside her. You have been married for 3 years, and now you are pregnant with your first child. I thought you were a hen that couldn't lay eggs. I didn't expect you can actually have a child. It's a pity. Even if you can lay eggs, your baby couldn't be accepted. You can't even protect the baby in your body. It's really sad. Lauren didn't want Tina to see her jokes, so she held back her tears, opened her eyes, and looked at the delicately make-up woman standing in front of the hospital bed. Tina, we just wanted to have a baby a few years later, but I didn't expect this child to come so suddenly. I didn't expect that. I was not ready to be a mother either. I'm afraid that I don't know how to raise it. We're still young. We will have one someday. I want to take care of you and Dad for a few years. Compared with children, the elderly need more care, don't you think? Tina also didn't want to have a fight with her in a hospital, so she nodded nonchalantly. After all, the image was the most important thing in public. When Tina was about to leave, 2 uninvited guests arrived in the ward. Carrie triumphantly held Alfred's arm, and the two walked in together. The image of them was very beautiful, but Lauren felt sick as she saw them. After Alfred cruelly took away her child, Lauren's heart was dead. Lauren didn't want to stay with such a man anymore. After marrying him for so many years, she had suffered a lot. After so many years of grievances, she thought he would fall in love with her with each passing day. Unexpectedly, she ended up like this. Before Alfred could speak, "Let's get divorced." The bleak voice of Lauren sounded in the ward.